Hello friends, I'm Raghu Holler welcoming you to another episode of Raghu Words where we explore the life's most meaningful themes. Today's theme is not only meaningful, but it's also very timely. Because we all know the world is going through a transformative phase where everyone is just talking about one thing, that is AI, AI, AI. Its power, its possibilities, and how it's reshaping our lives. But there is one point most people are missing though. While the world debates AGI and billion-dollar breakthroughs, a quieter but powerful revolution is happening in the hands of teenagers who are solving real everyday problems with creativity, with courage, and with a lot of heart. We have two such remarkable young founders in our show today, and along with them, three extraordinary entrepreneurs who have built, led, and inspired at the highest level, today cheering for them. With these five eminent panelists, there's a lot to talk about, needless to say, and also there's quite a bit to see in terms of product demos as well. So let's dive right in, get to know our Gen Z AI innovators. We don't call them innovators, we call them innovators, AI innovators. We'll discover what they've built and how their tools might just help all of us. Let's get started with the introductions. The first of our young innovators is someone who represents the very best of Gen Z curiosity and courage, Akshay Lakur. Akshay is a junior at the Lynbrook High School right here in the Bay Area. He was born in the beautiful Indian city of Mysuru but raised here in Silicon Valley, and he is already deeply immersed in the world of AI. Akshay, I can tell you for sure, is a young builder with both depth and direction. Akshay has already accomplished many remarkable things, but since we are hurrying up here, I'm going to just give you some highlights. A few glimpses. Akshay has worked on the airplane wing design using neural networks, a work that led to an IEEE research publication that was presented at the prestigious MIT. Akshay is working part-time at AAD Technologies, building very innovative AI agents. A regular at hackathons, Akshay was a finalist at the Cupertino Hackathon after building an iOS health app overnight. Among Akshay's projects is Exogan, a synthetic image generation platform helping niche industries like healthcare strengthen their AI models with limited data. Outside of tech, Akshay is an avid chess player and a volunteer for Kannada Kali, helping young children stay connected to their cultural roots. And today, he is here to share his latest AI project, Aeon. Welcome to Raghuverse, Akshay. It's a pleasure to have you here.
Thank you. Thank you for having me here. That was a great introduction.
Yes, we'll explore more about your product in a moment or two. But here is our next young founder who is a 14-year-old high school freshman who claims to be always looking to solve problems. Now, most 14-year-olds that you and I know are always looking to create problems, right? But here is Puneet Salgandi, who embodies curiosity, leadership, and a genuine passion for making things better. Puneet's journey is defined by creativity, initiative, and a willingness to take on challenges far beyond his age. Puneet also has done many remarkable things. A subset of those are leading his robotics teams to the World Championships and winning the prestigious Excellence in Engineering Award, winning the Moonpreneur Business Pitch Competition for his hand gesture detection app, serving as a senior patrol leader in Boy Scouts, leading 70 plus scouts and building 150 mental health care packages for military personnel as his Eagle Scout project. He has also won the FBLA State Level Public Speaking Award. You will see glimpses of his public speaking skills in a moment here. Puneet has also co-founded Saloma, an herbal hair care shampoo business that he started with his mom. He's serving on the ASB leadership on the freshman cabinet. He's helping oversee school-wide initiatives, promoting STEAM, that's STEM, STEM along with art is what I'm guessing, through the Cupertino Teen Advisory Council. He is also launching a Sunnyvale citywide no plastic campaign with city leaders. And outside of all this, Puneet volunteers at the Animal Assisted Happiness Foundation, caring for bunnies, and most importantly, Puneet is a proud Warriors and 49ers fan. And today here is Puneet sharing his latest AI tool, Postur AI, with us. Welcome to Raghuvar's Puneet. It's a pleasure to have you here.
Thank you so much. Yeah, I'm so excited to be here, and thank you for the opportunity.
Yeah. Folks, I was planning for a few questions up front, but let's change the course a little bit. Our advisors have been very patiently waiting, and I always respect their precious time. So let me go ahead and introduce our advisors as well. It's my pleasure to introduce our three eminent mentors, advisors here. Our first advisor needs no introduction to the world of entrepreneurship and innovation. We are extremely happy and honored to have with us B.V. Jagadish, a visionary leader whose impact spans technology, venture capital, mentorship, and philanthropy. B.V. Jagadish, or BVJ as he's fondly called, is the founding managing partner of Silicon Valley Quad, where he supports and guides some of the most promising startups and founders in the ecosystem. He's also a deeply committed mentor, known for empowering young innovators, early stage entrepreneurs, and emerging leaders with clarity, wisdom, and encouragement. BVJ is widely recognized as a thought leader in technology, venture capital, and leadership, and is a highly sought after speaker who brings both strategic insight and grounded practicality. And beyond the world of business, he is a philanthropist who contributes actively both time and money to organizations such as UVC Foundation, OSAT, SSCF, and many more organizations helping strengthen education and community development. B.V. Jagdish, welcome to Raghuvar's. I'm absolutely delighted to have you here on the show. Thank you for joining us.
Thank you. Thank you, Raghu, for such a kind introduction. I just wanted to say these two young entrepreneurs, budding entrepreneurs, high school students, the LinkedIn profile of them is probably going to be bigger than all three of us.
That's what we hope for, right? Our next generation should always be better than us. Yes, that's the right thought. Thank you, BVJ. Our next advisor is a leader who has spent over 3 decades at the heart of enterprise infrastructure and cloud innovation. We are very much honored to have Murli Tirumale, a visionary founder, executive, and category builder with us today. Murli has been a co-founder and CEO at Portworx, Ocarina Networks, and NetSex, achieving 3 successful exits, a remarkable track record by any standard, right? He has also served as VP and GM and a senior executive at Everpure. Some of you know it as Pure Storage, Citrix, Dell, and HPE, bringing over 30 years of leadership in enterprise infrastructure and cloud technologies. Murli is widely recognized as a category builder, having helped shape key technology areas such as SSL VPNs, primary data reduction, and cloud native storage and Kubernetes technologies. You'll be thrilled to know that Murli's work has greatly influenced how modern enterprises secure, store, and manage data at scale. Murli Tirumale, welcome to Raghuvar's. I'm thrilled to have you here.
Pleasure to be here, Raghu, and to be part of this wonderful panel. Thank you.
Yes, we have a lot of exciting things to discuss. Let's move on, but let me introduce our final advisor, who is a leader that has been shaping the future of enterprise AI long before it became a global buzzword. We are excited to have Simha Sadashiva, a founder, innovator, and a visionary in intelligent automation on our show today. Simha is the founder and CEO of Assure, a groundbreaking AI-driven customer experience automation platform that blends intelligent workflows with conversational AI to transform how enterprises engage with their customers. He has been an early advocate for no-code automation and AI-powered customer engagement, especially for highly regulated industries where precision matters, compliance matters, and trust is essential. Simha brings deep expertise across enterprise platforms, cloud computing, and scalable SaaS architectures. He is widely recognized for driving practical enterprise AI adoption and leading digital transformation initiatives that deliver real, measurable impact. Simha Sadashiva, welcome to Raghuvar's. It's wonderful to have you on the show here.
Great to be here. Great to be here. Thank you so much for the opportunity to share the stage with the other mentors that I have myself looked up to, and also it's great to see these young budding entrepreneurs, do some amazing things. Yeah, great to
Yes.
hear.
Yes. Absolutely. So let's get right into the discussion. And instead of just me asking questions, let's make this a conversation, a dialogue. But I would like to start with knowing the two products a little better, Akshay and Puneet. Can you briefly describe your product for us? The name of the product, the function, the use cases, and so on. Can we start with Puneet, just because we spoke about backache in the beginning?
Of course, yeah. So my company name is Postur AI. It's spelled like posture but without an E. So Postur AI. I'll show it on my demo later. And so it is a real-time posture detection, monitoring, and correction software. So how it works basically is the user first has to go through a calibration. The camera can either be in the front or it can be on the side. It is programmed to be able to take landmarks from either from both sides, the front and the side, and then the information gets calibrated based off of the user, and then you go to the session dashboard where every time that you have bad posture for 3 seconds, it'll nudge you, give an alert, and in order for the alert to go away, you have to hold good posture for continued time. So that is
Nice.
the posture, and even yeah, and it's a huge problem, of course, bad posture, and I'm so excited to demo it here.
Nice. It's just like having your parent or your best friend or your brother right next to you and saying, hey, sit properly. Hey,
Exactly.
again, sit properly. That's awesome. That's a very innovative thought. That's a very real world problem that you're trying to solve. Thank you, Puneet. Akshay, your
Yeah,
product.
yeah, absolutely. So my product is called Aeon. It's spelled Aeon. So the idea behind Aeon is that it's a personal market research assistant that's designed to run asynchronously on the background. And the purpose of it is to eliminate the boilerplate that a retail investor has to do when they're trying to make decisions. So the workflow is very simple. You just give it some guidance, basically a description of what your goals are, and let it run asynchronously, and it sends you notifications and advice that you can take in your own regards and choose to make your own decisions based off of those advices to basically invest in the stock market. The idea is to make the investing very simple for retail investors.
That's great. That's
What
another.
made you guys to start the companies?
Yeah, so at least for me, when I was a freshman in high school, my dad first told me, "Hey, maybe you should start getting into investing and stock trading and all these things." And he very much reminded me that you have to be very calculative with it. You don't make stupid decisions all the time. But I took it lightly, and I got an account with $1,000 in it, and I made quick money. I went like almost 20%, and then it dropped all the way to $700. So I learned kind of the hard way that investing is difficult. So then I figured out maybe I can build an AI system that can guide me with investing so that I don't have to focus too much on research. And that way I don't have to play completely blindly and I have some advice backing me. So that's what motivated me to create AI.
Great. What about you, Puneet? What motivated you to build AI app?
Yeah, so at least for me, for most of my life, I've always been struggling with some form of bad posture, and I've even had to get it checked sometimes. But so yeah, I mean, it's also a common problem that a lot of people in the world are looking to solve. And just like Akshay, I've experienced this problem firsthand. And my dad, who's also an entrepreneur, told me that why don't you like since you know how to make an app, you know Python, machine learning, why don't you just try this out? And so I made the first iteration and I liked it, so I just continued on with it. I think it's been working great so far, and that's kind of my journey here.
So you both had experienced these problems or had seen these problems, and you thought it's worthwhile solving for others as well, right?
Indeed, yeah.
How did that thought come about? That it's not just about me. I have to make an app that's useful to everybody.
Yeah, so for me at least, obviously when I go to school, I see a lot of kids just slouching or having bad posture. I think mainly since a lot of our life is spent in front of screens, right? We naturally just tend to hold the bad posture. And so I even asked a couple of my friends before I actually did this project. Like, what would be their thoughts on it? Get their feedback, how they would like it. So it all just started from asking others, and yeah, like I said, there's a lot of data showing that this is a huge problem. So yeah.
Great, great. Advisors, when you see these youngsters, does it take you back to your early days? What does it bring certain special things to your memory? Like you see the same spark or some trait in these young founders?
Well, I think first of all, I mean, as even as you introduce these people, you can see these founders are amazingly capable and very, very diverse in their skill sets and capabilities. But I think one thing that I find kind of interesting that is fairly common, I think, to most founders, including, of course, Puneet and Akshay, is that the best founders are less focused on a technology and more focused on a problem, right? The genesis of great solutions, is not the technology, but it is having some fundamental problem that they see either in their own lives or that they've seen in others, and then they infer from that and do a quick check and see that it is pretty common problem and hopefully large enough that you can build a company or a business around it. And it's the same thing that I've seen both Akshay and Puneet kind of talk about, right? Something that when BB asks what made you think of this, it's going back to the problem versus going to the technology, and that is just a wonderful sign.
Yep,
Yeah.
very well said. Uh, Maybe were you going to add something?
No,
Good.
I fully agree with that because I think we see in our lives a lot of entrepreneurs getting hung up on ideas, technology, and the product.
Yeah.
But I think looking at it from a user perspective, looking at it from solving who does the problem actually solve my product, and validating this, right, is actually the very first quality of becoming an entrepreneur. It's fascinating to see these kids getting into machine learning. I mean, this Puneet, as a high school freshman, he's so fluently talking about AI, machine learning, and all that. I'm actually more curious to know at what age he started the machine learning aspect of it, which is absolutely fascinating to me.
Yep. Puneet, when did you start?
I started roughly 7, 8 months ago. Started learning it. I had known like Python coding before, but yeah, I just since I wanted to do this project, I saw that I needed to do machine learning, so I learned that.
And actually, you basically grew your focus in this area during COVID time. Is it correct?
Yeah, so actually, what actually happened was when I was in eighth grade, ChatGPT was first released out into the world. So that really lowered the barrier a lot for coding and machine learning. So that's really when I got hooked to it. And then when I was going to be a freshman that summer of 2023, I joined a summer program in which I joined a machine learning researchers group. And I really honed my skills over there and really became engrossed within machine learning.
Awesome. Awesome. Simha, if I may ask you a question, since you're more into this automation, AI advancement, and all that, with AI, what I feel is the barriers of entry to many of these new products and innovations have come down, right? What would be your advice to youngsters to tackle that and make their product robust enough to not let these lower entry barriers adversely impact them?
I think we are living in times where no skill is inaccessible to you, right? I think when we all started as founders, I think we needed a lot more help and support. In fact, when BV and Murali started their early companies, I'm pretty sure, they needed to, raise capital just to get their initial versions of product built. When I started the company, we already had AWS, so there was no concept of needing $1 million to show up a prototype. You could build and demonstrate capabilities with a $500 AWS subscription. Now, fast forward 20 years later, these kids have access to some of these technologies that gives them the ability to really take an aspect of a startup and shrink wrap it into what is accessible through Claude or Gemini or whatever is their favorite AI ecosystem that they're building. They can be a one person marketing, sales, product uh, team and be able to demonstrate so much more traction. And that's a real exciting part here. I'm genuinely impressed with the initial introduction, based on the introduction that you shared and what these kids are talking about. They're focused, to echo Murali's point, I think they're focused on a business problem. They're talking about the business problem, not so much technology. Um, I'm curious to see the working demos. I'm sure others are as well. So I'd love
Yeah,
to see what they're building.
that's a perfect segue to our next step. Let's see the product demos and we'll have more questions. Meanwhile, folks in the audience, this is your time to ask questions as well. Put your questions in the YouTube chat window and our team will relay that to us. We will try to cover as many questions as we can. Um, let's begin with product demos. Akshay and Puneet, are you folks ready? All right. Who wants to go first? Okay. Akshay, I see you coming off mute. Go for it.
Sure, yeah. So before I actually demo, I would like to share a quick note about the actual prowess of the product itself. So while I was, how do I go full screen? Oh yeah, so while I was basically testing my product out, I did an online simulation with paper cache, but full real APIs. So over 3 months, my product actually has, based off of its instructions and its advice, it has gone approximately 25% return. So now let's actually get into the core innovation of how the product architecture works. So as you can see over here, this is Aeon's architecture diagram. So it first starts off with the user description or a prompt that the user says, say, for example, I'm looking for a 10% return over 3 months. So they give the prompt to Aeon and then they just walk away and it runs asynchronously. So the first steps is that it sources data. So the two types of data it sources are qualitative and quantitative. So numbers and the actual text and sentiment. And it synthesizes all of this data and passes it over to an orchestration layer. And this orchestration layer is designed to take and ingest all of this data together and run tailored quantitative statistical models so that the actual outputs and advice have some backing and advice, some backing associated with whatever it returns. And then it processes all of this data and then it sends you an email with all the advice. So here's the actual visual. So as you can see, it's first starting to delegate subtasks for a simple prompt in which the market environment and sector heat map is being scanned approximately for your tailored jurisdictions. And as you can see, it's doing some quotes and things like that. And over here, here's just a visual of how it's searching and how it's acquiring all of its data. So Aeon is designed as asynchronously and is designed to run continuously in the background and keep on giving you advice. So here is the type of email that is given as advice to you. It'll give you some tickers, and it'll give you an entry price, a target price, and a stop loss, as well as some quantitative backing and some qualitative backing as well. So this process runs indefinitely and basically asynchronously. So in the end, to conclude, I hope that once Aeon is fully out in the market and for people to use, I hope your portfolios look just like this as well. So yeah, thank you.
Nice.
Let me ask you a question.
Yeah.
It's a great demo, and what you have thought through is pretty impressive. But from my experience, it's much easier to accomplish positive results when the stock market is going up, 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 right? So a lot of times that doesn't happen. And the market correction uh, really comes and hammers a lot of the investors, right, whether you like it or not. And taking some precautionary measures and protection during that time or anticipating that. And you never know when it's going to happen. But when you build your solution, it has to sort of take that into account. I'm just curious to understand, is that something that you have thought through about?
Yes, absolutely. So the risk associated with this advice is obviously well taken care of because the so first how the architecture works is that it scans for sentiment and then it actually does statistical modeling with predefined models and it tailors models as well. So the risk associated with the model is to some degree applicable and it's given back to the user. So this is the key thing about Aeon, where it doesn't execute trades on its own. So you assume the actual risk, but it gives you the feedback as to what risk you're actually taking in, if that makes sense.
There is a question that has come up for
Yeah.
you.
What if you give unrealistic targets like 50% goal in a month?
Yes, so if you are given unrealistic targets, then the model will honestly, there are guidelines to honestly give the user advice saying that, hey, look, this may not be possible realistically within a month, but here's the next best thing that I found. So also the advice sector that is taken in by Aeon, that advice is mostly realistic, and Aeon will give you truthful feedback regardless of whether it's an unrealistic goal or if it's truthful.
Okay.
So, origin of your company name, how did you come up with it and why did you call it Yan?
Yeah, so Aeon, actually, I'm a big fan of Greek mythology, and Aeon is actually a Greek god, in which I just like the name. I didn't want to keep it some simple name, like Zeus or Poseidon or something like that. So I was a big fan of Greek mythology, and I just really like the name Aeon.
If you can digress for a moment, Sima, I had the exact same question on your company name. Sure.
Oh,
Can you tell us a little bit about your company name?
yeah. Well, I think some of you may know, I do sing. In fact, that's how I met Murli. Um, and my guitar teacher had invited me for a concert, and I had taken my entire family. My mother was in a wheelchair back then. We went to a local church here in West San Jose. I thought it was a small congregation, but it turned out to be almost like 4,000 people. And had a lot of anxiety as I was getting my mother off the wheelchair. I didn't expect it to be such a big congregation. And then turns out my teacher had arranged for an usher to take us in, and we had our designated seats. I thought that experience was so great. So when I wanted to start the company, and it was all around customer experience, customer support, customer service, I felt the name was very, very appropriate. USHER was taken by another company. They were sitting on the domain, and I just changed the spelling a little bit.
Spelling.
Yeah. But it's meant
Awesome.
to be someone to usher you to an experience. That's what the origin of the name. Yeah.
Awesome. Awesome. That's really good to know. Any other questions to Akshay advisors or any advice as well?
There's one more question on the.
There is one more question in the chat from Nehal Kishore. How do you make such websites, apps? Maybe technical stack, I guess.
Yeah, so the way that I tackle the core development of Aeon, so actually I'm proficient in Python, so most of the core engines I built in Python. However, for some of the backend infrastructure, such as the terminal interface and all of these things, those require TypeScript, in which I didn't know the language. So using AI tools is actually very helpful over here, in which you just write in natural languages, and if you know what the outcome should look like, by prompt engineering, you can get there via some of these AI tools such as Claude Code or Cursor or other such tools.
Awesome.
So, Akshay, do you look at this more as a recommendation engine, or do you look at this more as an autonomous investing vehicle for your users? What are you thinking about?
Yeah, so this is just the version 0, in which all it's designed to do is provide advice, so information. So it continuously runs trying to tackle your goal, your specific idea, or what you're aiming for the next couple of months, and it will give you information. How you want to use that information is up to you, but it will just give you suggestions saying that, hey, this is my prediction, this is what I think you should do, but everything at the end of the day is up to you.
That's great. And how do you
Puneet,
think about,
I have a
yeah,
sorry,
go ahead,
Siva.
Murli, go ahead.
Question for Puneet, right? These, one, there's a difference between a temporary correction and making a habit and changing a habit, right? Everybody talks about how long it takes to form a habit, but to unform a habit or to lose a habit takes a while. And the first, I definitely have that posture problem that you talked about, and um, it's, uh, your 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 product worked even before I even tried it because I straightened out throughout this whole presentation just hearing about your solution. But in general, right? i- if you trigger a response and say, "Hey, you've got to fix your uh, posture," have you done any studies to see like, do people need less, uh, reminders over a period of time? Do they actually form the habit of having a bad posture, or is it just completely dependent on being reminded every time?
No, no, no. Yeah. So in fact, I've done a full case study for 1 week among three of my friends, and we found a total of 85% of drop in bad posture, and that correlates to the amount of alerts needed. And so basically, how the system works, right, is that every time that you get an alert, it subconsciously rewires your brain into not wanting an alert, right? Because one, it makes a sound, it keeps on alerting you. And so your body naturally, as you do more and more sessions, as we can see in the case study, in fact, it dropped from roughly 24 bad posture alerts needed to 12. So that's a 50% reduction. And this is average among three subjects. So yeah, so that's a great question, in fact. And I have done research upon it and actually done the study on it. So it all happens subconsciously.
That is indeed a
That's
great
great.
question. Yeah. There are more questions coming in the chat, but let's move on to the next demo and then revisit these questions. Puneet, are you ready to demo your product?
Yes. Yeah.
You are. Okay. Just go ahead if you're
Yeah.
ready.
Yeah, so yeah, just a little like I want to preface a little bit. So in this in my company also I do have a clinical advisor who is actually my sister. She's studying Doctor of Physical Therapy at University of San Francisco, and she I as the founder work with her to ensure that all of our posture models are being met to each person. So we do have that clinical side also. Yeah, so just what to kind of expect, right? So I'll first show a demo of the home screen, and then you can see the history on the side. Then it goes to the calibration step, the most important part, right? We want to tune to each person's body, and then we take to the actual session dashboard, where that's where the real magic happens. The user gets the alerts. You can set a timer for how long the session is, and yeah, and at the end it gives a report at the end. So yeah, I'm so excited to share it, and I'll get that up quickly. Okay. Um, Let me just make it a little bit bigger. One sec. Okay, can you see my screen here?
Yes.
Okay. So this is a recorded demo here. So I'll speak through it. Okay, so this is the actual home page. So we have the Posture AI logo at the top, and yeah, sit better, feel better, real-time posture coaching. So this is the start page where you can actually select which camera you want to use. So if you have a webcam connected on the side, it'll also show up in the dashboard. But right now, since we have an integrated camera in the laptop, I will select that as a drop-down option. And then yeah, so two options for that. And then the another thing, another feature in our product is that it can take both front view and side view. So it takes the landmarks from both sides. For the purpose of the demo, I would like to show you the front facing mode, as that is the most realistic mode that people will be using right? So front facing. So, and then there's also a history tab, which will show all your recent sessions and for how long you ran it and how much percent of the session did you held good. So, yeah. So if you go here, it shows exactly how many good frames you had, how many bad frames you had, what was your bad posture, how many alerts, and a little pie chart showing the distribution of good and bad frames. And then, yeah, from there you can go back. And now let's get actually started with the demo. So now here, this is the actual calibration step. So the step one, the user has to hold good posture for 10 seconds, and it first captures the baseline, and then you have to continue holding it. So as you can see me as the test subject, I am holding the good posture for 10 seconds. Then the next step is to slouch forward. So once again, we have to hold the position for 10 seconds. And this is all to make sure that we are training the model efficiently. And then the last step is slouching back. We want to make sure that we meet every requirement of the bad posture, both slouching forward and slouching back. So once again, holding the same position for 10 seconds. Okay, and now all the calibration has been done, and this is the actual session dashboard. So it shows on the right-hand side how much time is remaining. By default, it's 25 minutes. It also shows how many good and bad frames you had and how many alerts you've gotten. So let me start a session for 2 minutes. So you can see here, I'm holding the good posture. And then as I go to bad posture, the rate increases on the right side. An alert pops up over here. There's actually audio also. So the video did not capture it, but there's audio that shows up. And then the user, actually, let me go back here. So if you notice bad posture, right? So the user has to hold good posture for 3 seconds. As you notice, the good is going up, and then the bad posture alert will also go away. So in this case, we make sure that the user doesn't just cheat their way into holding the good posture. We actually make sure they hold it for a long time. And yeah, so this is the actual main main part of our application here, and you can end the session whenever you want, and at the end it'll give you a report like I showed in the beginning, and it'll be saved to your history for you to view, to compare how you fixed your good posture, and yeah, how you fixed your bad posture, I should say. Yeah, so yeah, that's my product, Posture AI, and I'm so excited to share it with all of you, and hopefully once I actually get it finally deployed, all of us will start using it.
Great.
So,
Thank you,
Puneet,
Puneet.
I have a question for you.
Yeah.
Who are you targeting as your first users? Is it your friends? Is it other high school students, college students, or do you expect your, you know, parents and friends of your parents? How are you going about thinking about who your users are?
Yeah, so in fact, since this product is like mainly targeted to people who sit at a desk and do work with a screen in front of them, right? So I would love to test it with my friends, my classmates, because as I mentioned, yes, actually 65% of students have back pain, so that's a problem there. And then also test with parents and just generally anyone who I can contact, and is they for long periods of time they sit at a computer with a desk. So.
Have you thought of how you want to monetize this?
Yeah, like the actual pricing model.
No, not, yeah. Pricing model is one aspect of it, um, and building a business right out of this. So hopefully you will generate at least $5 to $10 million of revenue per year.
Yeah, yeah. So, since we are still in roughly the early stages of our product, still getting the development proper, we haven't yet deployed it. But once we actually deploy it, we will operate off of a freemium model, and then to get more customers into it, and as it transitions there, we'll be charging roughly $3 per month, and then also expand to enterprise PT clinics. And so that if you're asking that sense, that is how we'll do it.
And for this app to work, you need to open up the camera and have the camera monitor you as you're uh, going about your day. Is that right?
That is right, yes. But if you have a question about any privacy concern, I'm ready to
Yeah.
answer that. Go ahead.
Yes, I had a question on the perception of invasion of privacy because many of my friends, many people whom I know, won't use any tool that requires them to turn on the camera. They have this fear for whatever reason, right? For valid reasons, their experience and all that. How do you counter that? What's your answer? How does Posture AI ensure that such things do not happen?
Yeah. So, in fact, the actual model that we're training off, the data that we give in, it does not associate the coordinates that we get from the body to a certain person, right? So it's all metadata. So it just in our CSV files and all that, it just shows as coordinates. There's no actual person being associated. We don't know their name. We don't know any of their information. So that is and so the only information that we get is their body coordinates, and that's just getting from the webcam. So once again, it's all metadata. So that is something that we've thought of, and this is the response of how we've acted.
I have a question for actually both of you, right? There's a big debate that you see in the press, at least right now, about whether, you know, companies should be single founders or multiple founders. In the past, sort of the conventional wisdom was that you needed multiple founders just because there were multiple things that needed to be done, different domains, whether it was in marketing or operations or technical. Um, AI has made, you know, folks all powerful, right? Technically, at least, what you've built is evidence of that, right? But as you go forward, you get into questions like BB asked, how do you monetize it? How do you market it? Uh, and these are areas where AI helps, but not in not as impactful a manner as in building your product. So, have you given any thoughts to, whether you need some co-founders going forward, or if you are going to, uh, build some sort of employee pool, or you're going to hire contractors? I'm just curious if how you're thinking about the idea of moving the business forward when now AI is less, it makes you less potent and powerful.
Yeah, so if I may, I think that you raised a very good point in which AI helps a lot in technical development. So I think the main strength about your question is that I don't think it's necessary to hire multiple people for the development because AI can do like a very good job with the development as we see with our products. But when it comes to more of a marketing standpoint or monetization standpoint, I think that AI is not very strong over there, as you said. And we might need more people to find connections and to build relationships and then market it more. So I think from that perspective, hiring a team of people to help you market it and sell the product is pretty critical. But as for the core development, I don't think it's very necessary.
Yeah, if I may add on also, I think the one thing which AI cannot actually get rid of is human interaction, face to face, talking with each other and building that relationship, as Akshay mentioned. So I think hiring people to do the marketing, the sales, going out networking, that is something that will be definitely necessary in the future, right? And one person can't do it all. And also the soft skills, right? I think this generation is doing a good job of public speaking. We're joining a lot of clubs in school, but those soft skills, like convincing others to funding your product and all that. So just that natural human interaction, I think, will be necessary, and you should get someone on board for that.
Let's see, with AGI, some of those also may go. Who knows? But great discussion. There are a couple of questions in the chat section. I'm going to forward those to you now. Meanwhile, folks in the audience, you can ask your question to any of our panelists. We have two young founders here and three advisors who have very good amount of experience and can share their insights. I know some of you in the audience are also aspiring builders, entrepreneurs. So if you have questions to any of our panelists, feel free to put that in the chat section. Now, a couple of questions in the chat that have already come our way. One question is for Akshay. Akshay, who are your competitors in this field?
Yeah, so my competitors actually there are two sectors of competitors for me. So the first type of competitors are those are platforms such as Motley Fool in which you subscribe and then you get news, but at the same time, none of it is actually tailored towards your goals. It's more general knowledge. And the second type of competitors are the enterprise titans such as Bloomberg, routers, which are all priced for enterprises. For example, the Bloomberg terminal, which is sort of the staple within the finance industry for data acquisition, is approximately $25,000 per desk, which is obviously not suitable for retail investors. So my product sort of is in a category of its own, but not quite.
That's really good to know. Any thoughts on that? Anybody?
No, I think
Well, I
you
mean,
need.
I think it's not. Sorry, Bibi. I think uh, the the interesting thing is your product is different and differentiated, right? But what's more important, it turns out, is the fact that your customer base is segmented, and you're really targeting in some ways the prosumer segment versus the enterprise segment, as you pointed out, Akshay. So, uh, you know. Uh, there are many times products that are very differentiated, but if they're targeting the same customer base, then the competition gets a lot more intense. So I think what you're doing, which I feel is smart, is really maybe intentionally or unintentionally, but I think you seems to be you've talked about it in a very intentional manner. Is that you really segmented the customer base into large enterprises, people who are doing large trades and for other companies versus people who are doing it for themselves and people who are doing it sort of in a hobbyist way versus people who want to get a lot more serious, about making money and have, it's sort of that prosumer segment. And I think that's the first step towards success is segmenting the market versus just differentiating your product, because then you can be intentional about building more capabilities for that particular segment as you learn more and more about it. So well done. I really think that's a good sign.
Thank
Yep.
you so much for your
Well
insight.
said.
No, I
Jagdish?
just wanted to add to that. So you need to be very clear whether you're going to be selling to consumers or you're going to be selling to the enterprise. So make that very clear. And either way, there are many techniques that are available today called the product-led growth, which doesn't really require the whole original model of building salespeople and selling this product and things like that. So I think if you make your product extremely user friendly with a great user interface and user experience and provide this value, right, in a very consistent manner, then you can spread the word to some key people who adapt this product and then who can start giving you the fan out effect using LinkedIn or Instagram or any of the other things that already exist, which doesn't really cost you much. So that's the beauty of today's marketing versus in the olden days, right, where you have to hire people, you have to spend enormous amount of money. So there are these techniques that you can adapt to spread the word to adapt the product, but you have to ensure that usability of the product is extremely intuitive and straightforward
Absolutely.
Awesome.
Thank you so much.
and
Thank you.
produce consistent results.
Yes,
Yes,
Yeah.
that's
I
the
mean,
key.
this applies to both of you because both of you seem to be catering more to the consumers
Consumers, correct.
rather than the enterprises.
Yes,
Yeah.
yes.
And, and,
Great.
and the other aspect to Puneet, right, I think is uh, products like this, the one is to give the visibility that, hey, you are not doing it. Other one is to actually give accountability or recommending to them how it should be done. And today with the AI, you could actually take the posture that a person has got and you can literally show, right, using the AI, hey, this is how you're doing now, and this is how you should be doing it. Right? I think if you show the path for a person to improve from where he or she is to where he or she has to be, that helps a lot, right? The whole giving the feedback to the user as to how he or she should implement the changes. And I think that becomes very, it also starts to become your moat, the intellectual property that helps you for people to admire your product.
Yeah, very much. Yeah, thank you for that suggestion. I'll look to build that also.
Yeah, because with the AI, you can get all these pictures or models very easily now.
Yep.
Yeah, so you just need to adapt that from the model and demonstrate it to the customers.
Got
Yep.
it. Yeah. Thank you.
Yep. See, this is precisely why we are having this session, right? These gems, these excellent pieces of advice are going to make a huge difference to you as well as many other people in the audience who are watching, who are aspiring builders and entrepreneurs. So, thank you, advisors. Before moving on to the next question, I want to just take a quick moment to express my deep appreciation to the Kannada Kuta of Northern California organization, or KKNC as we call it, for their wonderful support to this episode. KKNC had organized an excellent business forum a couple of weeks ago, and that's where I got to know about these creative tools and founders, and also met the advisors. Special shout out to Gurraj Tarikere, Raj Bankar, and Purnima Mohan for all their leadership and help and support. Those of you in the audience who are from Kannada speaking families and live in the San Francisco Bay Area, please join KKNC if you have not already done so. It's a very vibrant community with great programs for every age. Okay. All right. So continuing with the questions, there is a question for Puneet from Mahadev. Puneet, do we have to tell AI what a good posture is and what is not? Can AI not automatically figure it out?
Yeah, so the actual I mean I assume that they're asking for the session dashboard page, right?
Right.
So the how I do know like we have to train a machine learning model to actually tell the tell the AI what is good posture and bad posture and create the differentiation, like the baseline, which is why we do the entire calibration step, which is why we collect good posture and the bad posture. So to answer that question, no, because I do like the product was made using machine learning model, and otherwise the AI would have no sense of what is good posture and what is bad posture, and that's the key part of the product, right? It is to truly understand whether the user can be classified as good posture or bad posture. So that is the answer.
Yeah, that's a great question, though. That's something for all of us to think about, you specifically to think about. Because if you look at image generation, right, where two um, adversarial networks are pitted against each other, one producing something random, another validating it. If you can think of something on those lines and come up with what a default good posture is and what is not, that'll be tremendous. But extending on that question, if funds and resources were not a constraint, this is to both of you, Akshay and Puneet. What would be your final version of the product?
Yeah, so at least for me, like I mentioned, this app still has not been deployed yet, and we do want to do some more initial testing to finally launch it into the market. So a lot of the resources that if we did get in this scenario would be spent in improving our machine learning model, holding larger like user studies, and actually like deploying the application across more and more platforms. So that is something that step by step we are trying to do, and the demo which I just showed today is our actual for like our most valuable iteration so far. So we're looking forward to actually putting it out into the real world.
Good. Akshay?
Yeah,
Raghu, just a comment.
Yeah.
It's just a little bit of a psychological observation here, I guess. If I look back to my three startups and I look at successful entrepreneurs like Sima and BB and others, right? I kind of feel like the one of the things that uh, creates success, if I had to think of it as a success formula, would be, I would say success equals some level of IQ, some level of EQ, emotional quotient,
Yep.
plus AQ, something, ambition quotient, right? And it's been amazing to me to see both Akshay and Puneet really exhibiting all three of these, right? I mean, certainly they're amazingly high IQ kids. You see that in their backgrounds and their in what they've accomplished, the product, and so on. But if you think about this whole session that we've had, and if you look at their backgrounds, they are have immense EQ in the diversity of what they have been doing, whether it's community service, sports, other things, and even displaying such good listening skills
Great.
and responding in this session.
Yep.
If I were as smart as them, I would probably be listening a lot less than them, right? I mean, they're just really good, and obviously great AQ, because in many cases this is not their first product. They've had multiple products they've built, and success in other areas, which only comes from sort of the some sort of ambitions.
Right.
So it's just this idea that success equals some combination of IQ, EQ, and AQ is something that these two are exhibiting in spades just through this session itself. And it's something that I think uh, people need to look at and learn, because everybody tends to over rotate. And us as parents, sometimes we tend to over rotate on IQ. We pay a lot more attention to grades and stuff like that. And I think it's really a combination that leads to success over a period of time.
Yep.
So make that observation.
Really appreciate that comment. That observation is really precious. And I'm also very amazed to see how far ahead these two folks are in the maturity, overall maturity curve. This is really great. Great point there. Akshay, Puneet, anything you want to say to that?
Yeah, I'd actually I pretty much always focus on the IQ part. I never actually thought about the EQ and AQ, so that's something new to me. So thank you for that.
Yeah,
Awesome.
I think especially for me, like even when I initially started, right, I was also mainly focused on the technology a lot because I found that pretty mesmerizing in itself. But as more and more I thought of it, more of a business side, I think it is important to show the EQ side. So thank you, Murli sir, for that remark.
And the AQ.
I
That's
just want to
awesome.
add that, one of my employees said this to me. They said IQ is what you accomplish by yourself. EQ is what you can accomplish via a team. And that sort of has that amplifying factor, right? So,
Correct.
the one of you, so another boss that I had told me that all of us are better than one of me, right? It's that
Yeah.
impact of being having EQ creates the all of you impact versus just the one of me.
Yeah.
So
Great. Awesome.
So, listening to all of you, it's amazing. But suggestion for Puneet, I think this I realized this as Murli was talking about good habits and bad habits. I would encourage you to read this book called Atomic Habits by James Clear. It's a fascinating book. It's for any young listener here. I think it would be a great book to read. Um, I think especially if you're focusing on posture, right? A lot of us, myself included, you saw me shift a lot of times, like just like Murli was talking about. Breaking a bad habit or an old habit takes a lot more effort, right? And so forming good habits and breaking bad habits, I think there's a scientific recipe of how you can actually go about doing that. I would highly encourage you to read that book because you can bring aspects of what you learn from that book into your product.
Yep.
Okay, and that would be a value added capability so that you can persist your users to stay on to use your product. It's not just, oh, I love this product and people will fall off after they use the product for a few hours, few days. How do you keep them coming back and use that product again and again and again. I think that book may provide you some answers.
Thank you so much. Yeah, I'll
Fantastic.
definitely read that. Yeah.
Yep. In fact, Sima, I'll take that title of the book from you and post it in our YouTube video description for any viewer to come back and refer to it. And if there's a link to the book where they can buy it, we'll also publish that. Um, Excellent. There are a couple of more questions. Maybe Akshay and Puneet, you have already touched upon parts of these, but I'll read the questions out anyway. Prashant is asking both of you, what models do they use to create these cost of development?
Yeah, so for Posture AI, there is a Google's model called Media Pipe Pose, and in that it gives the landmarks for 33 coordinates in your body, and using calculations we are able to find out a difference in the coordinates, right? So if I'm standing like this and then I notice these are the coordinates, but if I go like this the coordinates change. So that's how our actual backend works. We also do a random forest classifier, so it's that is how we use a classification and run with the pandas data set.
Akshay?
Yeah, so my development costs were mostly utilizing uh, Olama, it's an open source model provider, and I specifically used the Kimi K2.6 by Moonshot AI model paired with Claude Code to do a lot of the development. But as for the core backend infrastructure, I also use the Kimi K2.6 model because it has superior reasoning and coding skills that are very useful, especially for building these models and reasoning through data.
Awesome. Great. And again, a couple of more questions, parts of which you may have covered. If there is anything to add, please feel free to do so. Pooja is asking, do camera need to be always on for Puneet? And also, Divya is asking, how do you ensure user continuity? To correct posture, they need to be reminded quite often. How does it help throughout one's day?
Yeah, so I'll answer the first question from Pooja. The camera does have to be on in order to get the alerts, because that is how the model actually sees the coordinates on your body. So yes, the camera does always have to be on, and you can always stop your session whenever you're done. So and then your camera will turn off. But for the actual session, the camera always has to be on. And then for the second question. So Posture AI, we're focused more on habit formation rather than just posture detection. We want to make sure that whatever we're actually doing, it works in real life, right? So since the Posture AI already runs on devices people already use, right, like laptops, tablets, and phones, it can provide feedback while doing a various amount of tasks, right? Studying, working, attending classes, or even just surfing the web, right? Watching a movie, things like that. So instead of needing dedicated like exercises or extra effort, it automatically integrates itself within a person's normal routine and gives real-time reminders whenever the bad posture comes. And as I mentioned before, it gives the frequent alerts, and because it identifies the existing habits. So over time, the alerts become less frequent, and the user subconsciously adjusts their bad posture into good posture.
So,
Great.
Puneet, have you thought about any alternatives besides, the camera always monitoring you, like something like a wearable that you can wear that'll give you a similar feedback?
Yeah. So, in fact, it's great that you bring this, because that can actually our one of our competitors, Upright Go is the name of the competitor. They actually have a wearable. So the reason why I decided to do the camera is because wearable one, it's uncomfortable. I mean, you have to wear it all the time in order to get the posture readings. It is very much doable, but sometimes it doesn't give accurate data, because it might not have enough sensors to detect the different changes in your body. And a camera, and just when you're doing work, you can always just it's always there, looks at you. So it is something that can be done. But right now, based off of all the people that we've asked, they've said that they like having a camera in front rather than a wearable, because you can also lose that wearable, and it costs extra money to get the software running for that. So
Great. Awesome. Vish is asking both of you, when can we start using your tools?
As soon as they write the check.
That's a good answer. That's a great answer.
yeah. Yeah, so for Posture AI, at least, we still obviously we need a bit more time to get the deployment ready and get all the final testing done. And we also, as I mentioned before, we want to test on more people, get their feedback. So that will roughly take 1.5 months to finally get done. But after that, I mean, I have a LinkedIn if you want. You can check out LinkedIn. I'll make a post there, and you can check it out there. But roughly 1.5, 2 months until the final is done. And of course, if we get more and more resources like funding and things, that will all speed up.
Yeah. And folks, in addition to LinkedIn profile, we would be happy to put a short video on our channel as well when the product is ready, just notifying you that you can go ahead and buy it. Akshay?
Yeah, as for me, my V0 version, which is just the market personal assistant, it should be most of the testing has been completed because I've been doing testing as I showed in the demo. So the full deployment of the product, I'm aiming for the next 2 to 3 weeks, is when I can have everything set up and fully deployed for the public to use. But that being said, I also do have a beta version that I was building, but this version requires a lot more legal jurisdiction as it does support live trading as well. So that version will probably take a lot more months, if not a much longer time due to legal hurdles as well. So the alpha version, which is the V0, can be ready within the next 2 to 3 weeks, but then the upcoming versions will probably take a much longer time.
Again, we would be happy to make that announcement on Raghuverse as well, just to connect you with the community. I view this as a community, not just a one-time gathering. There's a lot more we can talk about, but friends, I want to be respectful of everybody's time, especially our advisors. So maybe can take just one more question. Yeah, here is a question to all investors. Right after this, we'll move towards closing. Question to all investors. These days, only products tagged AI are the ones getting maximum investment. Do you agree? Will you reject any proposals which doesn't say AI without listening to them?
Interesting question. I think the way to look at this is, AI is absolutely a new phenomenon. It is bound to stay. And I think people have already started to see the positive implications of AI in our lives, whatever we do, right? Both personal life, business life, professional life, and all that. So given that the benefit of AI is almost imminent, it's important that when you are starting a company today to showcase how AI would help you in whatever way, right? AI could help you in efficiently building an organization. AI can help you build a product that has a positive impact in an automated way to your customers. So either it has to impact your own business or it has to impact the users of your product as well. So I think that has to be the angle rather than thinking that, hey, do I just need to tag AI to get the attention of investors? No, it's not just that. It has to be something more meaningful from your own business point of view and from your customer point of view.
Yeah.
I'm not an investor like BB is, so he's better qualified to answer this. But I will say this, right? In the next 2 to 3 years, if you were doing a tech company, and it would be, even if you didn't mention AI, it would be as if you were talking about a tech company today and said, you never said we are using software. AI is going to be ubiquitous. It's going to be everywhere, right? There are going to be, of course, continued investments in some completely other deep tech. Think of an example would be some kind of optical chip, or if you're doing, space qualified semiconductors and things like that. So there are definitely going to be non AI focused in investments, but I think it would be foolish to assume you're going to be able to do a tech company which does not have a significant amount of AI. Now, to me, it always comes back to what does the AI accomplish, right? So not so much that it has AI or not. And so it goes back to the problem, or the problem that you're solving unique. And the reason there's such a buzz about AI right now is because just like SaaS did many years ago, uh, the AI has the opportunity to upset the apple cart and turn a bunch of industries on its ear and change the dynamic, using AI. So that's why there's such a rush. It's kind of like a new gold rush, and everybody wants to kind of get in there. But I mean, why would you not use AI? Just like you wouldn't be. You can't create a product today with tech product without software. So it's going to be everywhere.
Yeah. Unless it's a one in a million exception, it's bound to have something to do with AI. Simhan, do you want to add anything to that?
Nothing specific from an investor perspective. Like Murali, I'm not a qualified investor to speak. But what I would say is for both Akshay and Puneet, distribution and how you make your products accessible, available, or even aware that your products exist is a very important problem that you should think about. It's not, you probably have thought a lot about how to build the solution, but you should think about how you actually take this to the market. So I heard you guys talk about how AI is helping you build, but there's a fairly big body of work that is being done in what we call GTM engineering. So it's a new science where AI is helping how you can, distribute and make your products accessible, available. Back in the day, we used to talk about search engine optimization. How do you make web browsers or search engines be aware of your company, your product, right? Now it's the equivalent is AEO, answer engine optimization. How do you make your products accessible to ChatGPT, Perplexity, and all the places that most people now go to learn about any product or any solution. So I would encourage you to think about GTM engineering, think about how to fine tune your product so you can think about AEO. How do you're going directly to consumers. So that's a pretty important aspect of the other part of your entrepreneurial experience. So and we are all available and accessible to you if you ever need any help along the way. We are here to support you. So delighted to speak to all of you here. But I'll let Raghu do a closing. But my 2 cents here.
Awesome, awesome. No, that's a very good segue to the closing section as well. I would like to hear very brief closing thoughts from each one of you. Let's start with the founders, Akshay and Puneet. We saw your excellent products, we saw your creativity, we saw your enthusiasm, and you got interaction from the audience, and very importantly, you got precious advice from our advisors, mentors, who gave us, who just activated decades of wisdom in a way that elevated, hopefully elevated all of your spirits. So what do you take, what's your takeaway from this session?
Yeah, so I think that first of all, thank you for having me here. This was an amazing opportunity, and thank you all to Mr. Jagadish, Mr. Sadashiva, and Mr. Nirmale for their support and for them being over here and spending their time to mentor us and listen to our products. So this was a great opportunity overall, and I'm very happy to pitch Aeon out into the kind of community and get feedback and questions from investors, from the audience, and you, Mr. Halur. Thank you so much for this opportunity.
You're most welcome.
Yeah. I would also like to echo that. I had a wonderful time here. Thank you to Simha sir, Murli sir, BB sir for all the advice. I think both Akshay and I will be using it and putting it into our products. I think just to speak a little bit on AI, and I know Raghu sir wanted a little bit of introduction or like concepts on that. I think the world is definitely going to a great place, at least for our generation, in terms of people can use AI to create products like whatever they want, right? They can literally do whatever pops in their head. They can go to Cloud Code, they can go to any LLM and just create it. And I think it's we're very fortunate to live in those kinds of times. And I'm also so excited to um, present this project and pitch it to all of you. And hopefully, once it's done, I will publicize it and everyone will use it. Yeah.
Yep. Thank you, Puneet. Advisors, once again, thank you very much for your precious time and all the valuable suggestions, advice, feedback you gave here. The way I see it, it's not just useful to these two young talents here, but to many, many more aspiring builders who are listening, watching right now, or may watch the recording later. So, thank you from the bottom of my heart. But I would like to hear from you. How did you feel about the whole session, and anything that you want to share in your closing thoughts today?
Yeah, no, first of all, everybody has to thank you for providing a platform like this, right, to bring out such amazing programs to so many other people. Uh, it's phenomenal the job that you're doing week after week or month after month, and keep doing it. It definitely helps many more people and society as well.
Yep.
Uh, to these young entrepreneurs, I just felt that whatever they are doing is a phenomenal experiment, and I think it's a great life lesson for them. And irrespective whether what they're doing right now, whether it's going to be a success or a failure, it shouldn't matter, and it should not enter into their head. I think Murali put it very beautifully, right? You got to also build this whole EQ, the emotional quotient as well. Meaning, if it's a success, it should not get into your head. The arrogance aspect of it, or feeling that, hey, I've accomplished something that no one else has done. I think you need to look at it as, hey, how can I give back to the society in some form or the other and try to uplift? And if it's a failure, so be it. Don't take it too personally. Take it as a phenomenal learning experience, and opportunities that have been provided to you like this, I think has really enhanced your own ability to tell a story, to understand how entrepreneurship happens, how businesses are built, and so on and so forth. And many of us, before we saw a success, we can tell you stories about many of the other experiments that we did, which no one will hear about, right? And that's the way how we learn and how we make progress. And I think, again, Murali beautifully put it, this AQ aspect of it, the ambition quotient of it, that should never die, right? Irrespective of success or a failure, the AQ should not die. You should really take it forward and keep building, solving problems, because not everybody in this world can become entrepreneurs. There's a small segment of the society who will become entrepreneurs, who will end up creating solutions for the rest of the people. And if you are one of those that's privileged for whatever reason, take advantage of that and go solve problems and help this world, because the world needs people like you to solve these problems and create wealth for a lot more people, and translate that into helping the masses in terms of education and other things. So
Great, thank you, Jagdish. That's very well put across. That reminded me of one of our earlier conversations as well. Years ago, we were talking about how people see only the bed of roses when someone achieves something significant, but not see the thorns underneath those roses. The thorns and the hard path that the achiever had to walk on. That is not seen by most people. So that's very well put. Thank you for that, Murli.
Raghu, I think, I often get asked if it's a good time to start a company. And in my view, there's only good or better times to start companies. And I think this is a better time. And the reason for that is not so much, of course, it's AI and what amazing things you can do with that. But in my view, the advent of AI and the number of new things we are seeing in society right now uh, has created an environment with consumers and with customers where they expect new things to be better and they want to try new things. In fact, being new is probably an advantage versus being an incumbent and being an old solution. So the environment of both the supply and the demand is very sensitized towards entrepreneurship and towards things that are, so people want to try new things. I mean, they just, how often has the environment been more receptive to new things than now? And so, for not so much for these two entrepreneurs who are amazing and don't seem to need much more encouragement to start new things. It's really for folks in the audience, I think, would say, is this a good time? No, it's not just a good time; it's a better time than it has ever been. So, and again, I'll add my thanks to you for creating this opportunity. Thank you.
My pleasure. And again, very well put across. I think this is a great time for everybody to start building something, whoever is oriented in that direction. Simha, finally.
Yeah, I came here to inspire a few people if I could in a small way, but I'm going back being inspired by seeing all these amazing work by such young entrepreneurs. And thank you so much for the platform that you have created. I think many of us have benefited from listening to programs like this even before we started our own company. So what you're doing is amazing work, and thank you to Kannada Kuta for bringing us together. And
Right.
I have made this. I've made this. I've made myself accessible and available to anybody who needs any help in any way. So happy to continue to be a resource for our community. So thank you so much. It's great to see these kids do so amazing. I'm
Thank you.
sure they'll do great things in their careers.
Thank you, thank you. That's one of the best things I heard today. The Simha getting inspired by this session. Absolutely well put. Thank you so much. Folks, hope you enjoyed this session. There'll be more sessions similar to this in the near future. Keep coming back to this channel. Do like this video. Do subscribe to our channel. We'll be discussing a variety of topics, themes on this show, and you will get notified. Before we sign off, I would like to extend my appreciation, my sincere thanks to everybody on this panel, as well as the team that supported from behind the scenes, parents of these two young founders, Varsha and Prajwal, who supported me in running this, as well as Divya. So thank you so much. Keep coming back. Do subscribe to Raghuverse, where we explore life's most meaningful themes. Thank you. Stay well.